cut this out. Morning, everyone. Welcome to our podcast with me and Pussy. We don't have a name yet, so once we get a name, we'll hopefully have a better introduction. But this is obviously our second episode, if we want to call it that, and we're actually going to dive into AI today. So before we get into that, bro, I just want to check in with you. How you going? What's been happening?
Good, brother. I was thinking maybe we need to figure out a name soon. It doesn't look good for us. The second episode already. But I think if anything, the thing that me and Tyrone, even though we didn't have a name yet, we had a mission and, we had a goal. And the main thing we want people to realize is just start and you'll figure things out along the way. But look, at least Tyrone and Pasitaua. That could be the TP or the PT podcast. Who knows? Hey, I like the sound of PT because like personal trainer, we can be your mentors here. But anyway, I'm good, brother. Thank you for asking. Look, I've had an awesome week. Just I'm a big believer of personal branding, and I've had a huge win this week where I posted something on LinkedIn, and because of that post, someone picked it up and sent me a DM on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, can we talk about this opportunity? I want to do something similar at my organization." So it's just little things like that, and it's very important. Like even if it's a small win, like celebrate it, celebrate it, and keep that momentum going. Don't slow down. But yeah, had an awesome week, man. Awesome week. Family's good, kids are good.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Yeah. Same for me, bro. I feel like been a really good week, and I'll be honest, it's been quite overwhelming. I've had a lot of work on my plate. I still do a lot of work. So, again, we've been transparent out here. There's still things that as a business owner, I'm even trying to figure out. And I think, sharing our journey kind of hopefully helps people out there, understand what kind of comes with it. Even being 8 years deep into this, you're still getting overwhelmed. But I guess for me, reflecting on it is like all the work I've been doing, I actually enjoy. So, I actually feel like I'm in a good place, as much it has been a lot. Being able to do stuff that you enjoy is fun. It's just trying to find ways to make sure you get good sleep and all the other jazz to make sure you can be fresh and continue to do this work. So yeah, I'm feeling good because I'm doing some really cool work at the moment. But yeah, obviously we're going to be talking about AI today, bro.
hmm
I'm going to actually put you on the spot, bro. Before we get into what we can do in terms of using AI in our businesses. What is AI to you, or how would you define AI?
Yeah, well, hey, basic terms, people, AI is a computer, right? That can basically think, act, make decisions like a human.
Hmm.
It's computer technology, right? That can do that. But it's a buzzword at the moment, and people, it's a huge trend. But from a business point of view, it's more than a trend. It's a tool. It's a tool that you can use to help you improve and grow your business. Like
Yeah.
for me personally, the role that I play in my business, a lot of it is in the sales. So I've been using it to help me, you know, generate leads for my
Mm.
business. But it's something I'm also working on as well. Is I want to use AI a little bit better at closing deals, but it's really good at helping to target the people that I want and to start conversations and then booking appointments with them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, AI in a nutshell, that's what it is to me. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, awesome. You perfectly explained it, and yeah, did chuck your hospital past there in terms of trying to explain it, but was yeah well done. And yeah, I think I share the same thoughts. I think there are many people that are calling it a trend, which right now it seems like that, especially when you've got all these photo or image generated stuff going around. It's quite a hype thing at the moment. But I guess the terminology I would use, and I didn't create this, we would call it a general purpose technology. And a general purpose technology is something that, is often used. And the most obvious one that we all know about is electricity. Electricity is in everything. So although AI is probably a bit more, in front of us, eventually we get to a point where it's in everything or people using it for different things. So as much as it's here now, I'm personally a big believer that it's going to be around for a while, and for us, especially being in business, to take note of it, whether you're using it or whether you see stuff or people using it, you can be a bit more informed about what impacts it may have.
Yeah,
But yeah, sorry,
yeah.
go for it, bro.
No, I was just gonna say, adding to that, like, it is yeah, general purpose. It's if you know how to use it, right? Like it's a tool, and like don't be scared of it. Like a lot of people are afraid, or some people are afraid of AI replacing them. Like that's honestly, that's the world we live in. When technology upgrades, like it's just going to add a little bit more automation, improvement, efficiency. So that means, yeah, some roles will be taken over, and that's what happened when the internet era came in, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the simplest analogy I can think of is like when the calculator came out. Like you don't
Hmm.
have to be a mathematician. Like you don't need to know how it works, like the technology itself. You just need to know how to use it. And it's the same thing with AI. Like you don't have to be an expert on how it works and the origins of it. Like you just understand it, like to a degree. But
Yeah.
what's more important is learning how to use AI. Okay?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Totally, bro. So I guess let's carry on that thought in terms of how to use AI and specifically talking about our business owners. So what's the easiest place for people to start using AI, bro? Like for yourself, how did you get using AI?
Look, there's a lot of AI tools out there now. Since it all started, the huge wave. But look, I use a lot of AI tools in my business, but I think the first easiest place to start, let's just say you've never used AI before, is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, very text-based, conversational type of AI tool. You can ask it questions, prompt it to help you with a few things. You might ask it like, is this a good business idea? Or I'm thinking about this. What are the risks or what are the benefits? And AI will just do a lot of research and then give you answers,
Hmm.
right? So you could even use ChatGPT to help you write your posts for social media. Be like, hey, I want to post this thing that I did, but how do I share it in a way that will get me more reach? And this is what I want to talk about. Blah 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 blah. Just throw it all into ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT will do its magic, and then it'll spit something out that. And it depends on what your input is, and then that's
Yeah.
the output that you get. So I say just start there. That's an easy place.
Yeah, bro. Yep. No, I agree with you. Starting at ChatGPT is an easy place, and I guess for many of you that are running your own business, you might also be on Google or Microsoft. So Google has Gemini, which you can use. It looks like a little diamond star, but you can basically use it like you would use ChatGPT, and a little bit of different functions, but that's there. And then there's obviously Microsoft. They have Copilot. So you can use Copilot as well. Fun fact is that Copilot currently uses ChatGPT, so you'll be using the same models until it obviously develops its own models. The only other thing that I want to say, and this is just being open and transparent on what exists out there, is that for ChatGPT, the free is actually really good, and there's another one called like Anthropic you can use as well. But there's also a thing called DeepSeek. It's a Chinese-based company that you can use. But the reason why I share it is because with some of these free versions, you only get so much amount of tokens that you can use, and tokens are like just pretty much how it's currency when it comes to these tools. But there's a free version that can do what these paid versions can do as well. So just putting it out there, just other ways you can start. But like Pussy said, jump on ChatGPT if you can, type in something and then kind of go from there. So I guess, bro, like you talked about it before around lead generation and what you do with it. Yeah, I'd love to hear a bit more around how you're using it for lead generation and even get into some details around that because I'm sure people love to hear about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll try not to get too technical here, just to keep it really simple. But for my target market, my business, a lot of my clients that I'm trying to target are on platforms like LinkedIn. So very professional people, working in corporates, the decision makers, business owners, employers. So they're on there. So second, obviously, I use LinkedIn, to connections requests, but it's how I nurture that attention, how I grab that attention, which then
Mm,
makes them want to meet me. So that's if you go to my LinkedIn profile and you check, you'll see that I post consistently every week. You know, a minimum between 2 to 3 posts per week, and you'll see there's a theme that I put on there, right? So I'll give you an idea. When I first started doing posts, this is before AI and that, it used to take me an hour at minimum to try and think of something.
Mm.
But like, what should I post? How should I post it? What photo should I use? It was crazy, and I'll do that before I go to work. So I had this small business side hustle, and then go to my full-time job and come do the same thing. So an hour, I wake up early in the morning before the work to do that. And now my business has become my full-time thing now. But anyway, compared to today, when I use AI, ChatGPT, for example, it takes me about 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm saving a lot of time, an hour compared to 2 to 3 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's doing it. It's creating like multiple content for me based on strategy, right? So I'll be like, look, this is stuff that's worked, and also what I do is I look at other people's content and look at, oh, this one's going viral. Why is it going viral? And then I ask ChatGPT, can you analyze this post for me? Why is it doing so well? How is it structured? Can you do something similar for this post that I want to write? And then boom, and it will generate it could generate 10 to 20 different type of posts or content ideas for me.
Yeah.
Right? So it's helping me with my thinking. Again, it's how I'm using the tool.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the real value comes in. And so, yeah, because I'm posting consistently, again, going back to what I shared earlier in the podcast about that win that I had on LinkedIn, where I put up a post, someone saw it and be like, hey, can we talk? Because I want a leadership program like this for our business. Like that's how it's generating leads for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's just a little example.
Yeah, cool, bro. Awesome. No, thank you for sharing. And I think, our idea is to hopefully share examples that are actually working. So, anyone that's watching this actually can take them in. For me, like, I was going to actually ask you about saving time for yourself. And I think the biggest one, and you really talked about it, is actually when it comes to the brainstorming. Because for myself, when I first started business too, like I would just sit, whether that's with a book or whether I was writing or even sitting in front of a computer, and I'll just stare at the page for ages, like just trying to think of something to start with. But with now AI, if you're stuck, what I tell people to do is actually find a problem you're stuck with and give it that. So it could be anything in terms of a problem, but if you've got a real specific problem, whether it's lead generation, like I don't know how to generate leads, chuck that in. And it will actually give you something. It will definitely not give you the answer, but then it might give you some thoughts and perspectives that you're like, oh, that's actually what I want to look at. Okay, so one big thing that I tell anyone, doesn't matter if you're a business owner or just a person that's wanting to use AI, is actually think of a problem that you want to solve. And it's very easy to think of a problem or challenge than it is to think of the solution. So if you got a problem, give it the problem. The more context you can give the problem, if it's something specific around lead generation, like I want to use LinkedIn to do this, that, and the third, that's going to be more helpful for it to then give you a perspective that you can use. So that's what I would say in terms of even how I use it and also how you can save time. I guess, bro, like, is there a part of service business that you think AI can't replace or touch, given our own couple of years of experience of just playing with it? Is there something that AI can't do at the moment?
Yeah, about that. Before we get into that one, I just wanted to add to your last part there around problem solving, using AI to help you with problem solving. We could do another episode on how do you do prompt engineering properly so that ChatGPT can spit out the thing that you actually want. But what I found valuable, bro, even if you're not a business owner, but when you're going to see clients, you want to prepare for that meeting. And it's always nice to know what the client wants or what their struggles are before you go into the meeting, and you use ChatGPT is a tool to help you prepare for it by saying, look, this is my client's problems, give me some talking points or things to think about that I can take into that discussion to make it more valuable. Right?
Yep.
Or even if you're a director or CEO working for a corporate business, you maybe, before you go into a meeting and you've got a very big meeting where you have to make big decisions, like you can use ChatGPT to help articulate some of your thoughts and to give you different perspectives and, so that you can go in to that meeting and provide real value, right?
Yep.
So it can help you with your thinking, right? And bounce your ideas. But anyway, you know, is there a place in the business or, you know, the AI can't touch or replace? I would probably say the ability to connect with people, right?
Mm,
So even though you use ChatGPT to write content, I always make sure I proofread it to make sure that it's got my values in it, that it's value based, that it's got my tone, and that it makes sense. Because the last thing you want is for it to sound like a robot,
mm,
right? So it's important that you know you don't rely too much on the ChatGPT to do everything. Make sure you proofread it. Make sure it's what you want. It sounds like you, right? And think about, like, you know, if I was to put this message online, right? How would this? What's the impact that will have on other people,
yep.
right?
Yep.
I would have, yeah, man. It's a very sensitive one, but just thinking about the naked Samoans, and that was very very big recently. You know, and one of the things that the person said on there, he says, "Oh, our robust quality assurance or thing system let us down." Like, what? You know, it would have been good to be like, look, I want to put this post out. ChatGPT, what are the risks or the consequences, or you know how people will respond to this, and then that could help, right? Rather
Mm,
than relying, you know, so that, yeah, that's what I mean. Like you can't rely on automated systems and stuff like that to do everything for you and all the thinking for you. You still needs to be a human element where you need to apply critical thinking, right? And be like, look, is this good for me? Is this good for my business?
yep.
Right. So that's something I definitely would have used as a tool to help.
Yep.
And just like, yeah, from a sales perspective, it's like connecting with the person,
Yep.
right? Like that human touch. You can't
Hmm.
replace that.
Totally. Yeah, I'm just going to double down in on what you said around the human side because yeah, an example of this too for me is that a lot of people, when it comes to whether it's even creating a plan that you're going to run out and you want to create ways in which to communicate, um, you can't forge a relationship that's been built, you know. So a lot of the stuff that we do that's in our businesses, whether that's actually, you know, getting a client or even going out there to get funding, is that you still need to build rapport. And, you know, we're not currently, you know, I don't know what the future, you know, 30, 40 years looks like, but currently you can't replace that. So actually building a
Mm.
relationship takes you as a human to get out there and build that relationship. And then having that relationship, having, you know, things that are potentially written down in ways that articulate your vision, your mission, or the stuff that you want to do with that person. Obviously, they can go hand in hand. So I agree with you,
Mm.
bro, that right now, the human side of things, it cannot replace right now. To say in the future, we don't know. But I also think even then, like I consider like this ain't just for service businesses, but I just think about like when I think about nurses and bedside manner, you know, they may become a robot that can do that kind of stuff eventually. But I think just for most of us humans currently, we kind of enjoy the kind of rapport that you might have with a human being there for that too. So again, we're not saying official statements on these things, but right now, even with what I do, you can't replace that kind of building a relationship. But I did want to kind of touch on that thing around quality control too, because 100% like that's one of the most awesome things about this is that quite often, if you wanted to get perspective on something, you would have to go and ask someone, which I still recommend. You know, it's always good to get someone else's perspective on anything. But if you're in a position where you like need either a quick perspective or you know you're by yourself and there's no one else to kind of talk to at the moment, putting it to something like ChatGPT or any of these other AI models and go, can you give me perspective? Again, we're not
Mm.
looking for the answer. We're just like, can you give me like pros and cons of this? And then
Nice.
can give you a fuller picture of like, oh, okay, I didn't consider some of these things. So as a service business owner, you're going to get yourself into situations where it's actually hard to make a decision. So you might want to use this to kind of give you again some more context for you to consider. So I agree with that, bro. And I guess what I wanted to talk about, and if you've got any examples, bro, you can definitely touch on it too. But when it comes to using some of these tools, so for myself, I help business owners kind of learn about how to use these tools as well as build some of the kind of what they call agents or agentic workflows as well. But to make sure that I actually help people in the most safest way and make sure that it works for businesses. I've been doing my own research, looking across the world, and then also doing stuff myself. One of the interesting things is like when you use these tools to actually have external conversations. Now, I don't know about yourself. I've been to Burger King and you get to play with their AI and you get to order food. It's quite an interesting engagement there or conversation you get to have. And then before you know, after you ordered your food, most times it works out. There's the odd time it doesn't, but we're starting to see AI kind of be in places where it's customer service based, right? And there's things like, being able to do customer service calls, especially for businesses, being able to do that as well. But there has been a lot of examples where people haven't properly put guardrails or put boundaries and rules around doing that stuff. And there's some really funny examples. I want to say funny for their business, but funny in terms of examples where they've put a chatbot on their website, said, hey, I want to order something. Can you give it to me at this price? And the chatbot said, I will. So there's all these things that you just need to make sure and consider when you're dealing, especially externally and internally, but you're making sure that it has been safely deployed. Because the example I gave, I can't remember what motor company was, but it was a big one, gave a car away for $1. And there was a whole thing around trying to make sure that they couldn't do it contractually. But, just think about us as service businesses. When you put these stuff out there, you can, but, really making sure that they're robust, because the last thing you want to do is sell away your services for $1. But yeah, I don't know about yourself, but is there any examples that you've seen where, it's best for people to kind of think a bit more thoroughly around how they use AI in that place?
Yeah, especially with AI agents. And there's a difference between that AI agents and, like what we talked about, ChatGPT, which is very word and search based type of AI tool. And then obviously you can implement AI into your service businesses to help automate your workflows, your systems, automation. And like coming back to your point before, Tyrone, like, using AI to automate content, not connection.
Yep.
But, AI agents, the cool thing about it is obviously, like, think of it as a person that does something for you, right? You can train it, you can teach it, and it produces the output or the outcome that you want. So these AI agents are very outcome oriented. So you've got to train it up. So, I have a few AI agents that I've created. Especially in my space, and there's a lot of you business owners out there who probably apply for funding or not apply for funding, but you tender for contracts, right? You've got to put in a proposal, you throw your hat in the ring, and you hope that your proposal stands out and that you win the job, right? So that, if you don't know about it yet, make sure you jump on Gets, GETS. Right, I can't remember what the thing is, GOVT, I think it might be, but just look it up. They're always putting out contracts and tenders for different industries, whether you're in building, logistics, engineering, audio, marketing, teaching like me, it's all on there. But anyway, I've got this AI agent that I've taught how to write proposals, right? So I'm like, look, here are all the 15 to 20 proposals that I've written in the past. Here are the ones that I've won. I want you to remember these. So I'm teaching it how, like, it's going to always use this as a reference for thinking and thing, right? So when I find a tender or potential contract that I want to apply for online, I copy and paste what that or the briefing is or the request. I throw it into this ChatGPT agent that I've created, and I ask it, what are our chances for this? Do you think education should apply for it? And it'll just give me all this, and it'll tell me these are your strengths, these are the things that you need to look out for that doesn't meet the criteria of this and that. So that way, before I just jump in and be like, I'm going to apply, I'll be like, is it worth applying? Is it worth applying based on this? And what are our chances? And if I'm going to apply, how do I write the proposal in a way that makes us increase our chances of winning that contract? And that's just one AI agent. That saves me a lot of time. I used to sit there and just look through the thing myself, read it and be like, yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that. You know what I mean? And it'll take me a whole week, bro, a whole week just to write a proposal.
Mm,
It's crazy. And I've got other things that I need to do, other sales, services, initiatives I need to do. But with this AI agent, I can do it in about 2 to 3 hours.
mm,
1 week to 2 to 3 hours. And the longest part in there is me proofreading it and adjusting a few things.
yeah.
All right. But anyway, that's look, I can go on and on, but I have like 10, 12 different AI agents that do things for me in this business that I've trained, from marketing, from sales, writing proposals. So anyway, that's my experience, my opinion on it.
Yeah, bro. No, awesome, man. I think it just shows, for us both, we're both using them in different ways and in similar ways as well. And hopefully for anyone out there that wants to kind of use these tools is that I think there's going to be a natural apprehension, kind of looking at these tools. Some of you guys might be thinking Skynet, if I use this in my training, the Terminator to come and get us. And I feel like for me, like it's a good conversation to have, but I think, in the world of business, whether you're using it or not, your competitors, others are using it. And I think, we need to look at it, like Pasi said, as a tool that can actually be of benefit, but then also a tool that we can, consider what are the impacts as we kind of move forward, with, just not just business, but with life as well. So I guess, bro, we kind of reached to a point where I want to ask, what's one tip that you would say in terms of service business owners using AI? What's one tip you would, leave with them today?
Yeah, especially when it comes to AI, I think pick this is a funny one, but pick a process that you don't like doing in your business and use AI to do it.
That's nice. Yeah.
I would spend, like I said, that 1 week writing a proposal, and it just was draining. I use a lot of my brain power. It's just making changes, but obviously going down to 3 hours, 3 hours now with AI, and I have a lot more time to do other things. It frees my brain up a little bit. And then also, the other thing is maybe ask yourself, not what can AI do, but ask yourself, what can I do better with AI? So if you are working in sales, if your role is in marketing, if your role is in operations, whatever in your business, ask yourself, how can I use AI to do my job or to do these tasks more better, more efficient? Yeah, that's what I would say.
Mm. Oh man, those are both amazing, bro. I feel like I got nothing else that really add to that. I think those are really I'll double down on those what you've just shared. The only thing I'll probably add to it is that obviously this is called artificial intelligence. So it's got its own intelligence, and it's relatively smart and only going to get smarter. But what's very easy to do with these tools is to actually, use it passively. And what I mean by passively is actually go, cool, I put in my thing that I need. It gave me something, copy and paste, and then go with it. And I think what, we've already said throughout this podcast, and what I just want to kind of share again is that don't use AI to just be something that you're going to copy and paste. Use AI to help with your thinking, to then, take and then evolve from. And the reason why I say that is not because just from a service business angle or business angle, sorry. The reason I come from is that, and there's actually a research paper, I won't get into it, but it's really said that for people that kind of blindly trust AI and its responses,
Mm,
you're actually losing your ability to critically think.
mm,
For those that actually use the tool to evolve and think differently and trust their ability to do that, they're actually growing at a in terms of intelligence at a larger rate too. So what I'm trying to say there is that the passive use of AI actually has more challenges or creates more challenges for you in general. So actually, it's best to use it, like Pasi said, use it as a tool for all the stuff that you can do in business, and be active with it. So then it can actually help the way that you think as well. So yeah, just wanted to kind of add that on. But that's us for this week. We'll definitely have another one next week. We do have a site that we've created that we'll probably put in our comments and our descriptions if you want to jump on. And basically, that's just signing up because we'll create even further content, whether that's wrap ups of our podcast and just further tips for you to kind of win in business. And yeah, we're just going to continue to go and evolve and learn things, and hopefully share some of that stuff with you as well. So, yeah, is there anything else you want to sign off with, bro?
No, look, it's, you know, keep up the hard work. We know what it's like to be in your shoes as business owners, entrepreneurs. Um, and I also see, unemployment is high. We've got a lot of things happening globally with tariffs and stuff, which are also going to ultimately impact our economy. And I know a lot of people in my circle who are also leaving their jobs and going off to start their own thing. So I think there's going to be a huge wave of entrepreneurship coming. And a big reason is people are forced to be creative now and think about what are other ways I can create income. Look, we've got your back. Tyrone and I created this podcast so that we could help you on that journey. We're here to serve you. We're gonna be your biggest cheerleaders, you know. So let us know what your struggles are. Let us know what questions you have, because we want to make sure that we're providing value in each episode just for you, so that you keep coming back and we can keep serving you. So thank you for joining us. And Tyrone, man, it's been a blast, brother. Honestly, I love the vibe that we have, and I'm sure our audience will enjoy the same thing too.
Yeah, well, perfect, bro. Awesome. So that's us for this week. See us next week. Peace.